So one of the things that we can all do a little bit better is to have better, more meaningful conversations with our team members, particularly for those of you who are working remotely, because we know some of the magic that was kind of lost as we went remote is the opportunity to really have these face-to-face conversations with our team members, with our managers, etc. And that's where the relationships essentially are built. And if you can reflect on kind of the last year, I'm sure there's going to be a moment where you remember that when you have a call with your team member, it's probably just very specifically work related. And that's because it's the nature of remote work. So unless we actually, strategically and intentionally create opportunities to check in with our team members, to talk to them a little bit beyond just the workflow and the project at hand, this is how we can create that space and also that company culture. What I've seen as well is that a lot of companies lost that culture of building relationships because once we went remote, we forgot to adjust the coffee moments that we have in the pantry with people, the water cooler moments that we have in the pantry. We forgot to incorporate them in that remote workplace. So that's kind of the topic today, is how can we have more meaningful conversations with our team members and not lose these relationships?
Elena, so what is so crazy is that, in fact, as when you are a people's manager, you have many challenges. So does it really count if you are spending some time with your team members? Does it really count that you are, for my next promotion, can we find some time to manage our team remotely? How can I do in order to have this type of meaningful conversations within so many competencies, frameworks, some guidance, even coaching? Imagine, so we, as people's managers, we have a full process that kind of sometimes is a little bit tedious and long, that we call coaching. So how can we really do it? The thing is that we all know, and this is some basics, that the impact of having these meaningful conversations, or sometimes we call it coaching, is that we increase productivity, we increase performance, we increase engagement, and people have this sense of belonging that is so necessary in these times, but it's not that easy, right?
Yeah, and what we forgot to mention in the beginning is the why. Like, why does it even matter to have these meaningful conversations? And I mean, personally, from my side, what I've seen with organizations is that, especially if you have team members that are remote or joining during the pandemic and remotely, it's very difficult to build loyalty and to build those relationships. So by having those meaningful conversations, you not only looking at where does this individual want to be, how does their individual personal and professional goals align with organizational goals, how can you create that bridge? And furthermore, it builds up that loyalty to a company. Otherwise, I mean, we've heard this feedback. Sometimes employees are like, listen, I'm just a number. I just have this digital head that I check in with for work stuff once a month, let's say, or twice a month, for example. And that's it. There's no connection to the team members. And even if you have been working at a company and you've been now remotely or even part-time remote for a year and a half, 2 years, you've also lost touch. So it's almost like you've disconnected. So this is where leaders really need to make time to recreate these conversations, not only for them and their team members, but also for the actual team. So to encourage that. And of course, that starts with leading by example. So as a leader in your organization, you need to make time for your people so that they also make time for each other when they work in teams.
Let's be a little bit more disruptive, Elena. I think this is the good time, in fact, to reconsider how we do things. So for a long time, we have been talking about the impact of coaching. Now, coaching as per se is something that is impactful. But now we have corporations that are continuously evolving, directions are changing, people are not at the best at work. So we need a little bit of process that is more agile. And this is why I love the title of this conversation, that is meaningful conversations. What if we forget about using this word coaching and we start using the word meaningful conversations? The impact, it will be the same. The key parts, it will be the same. But instead of having a long linear process of coaching that might last forever, and God knows that in corporations, nobody has the time, why don't we focus on the essentials? So the essentials, it would be, are we enablers for our team? Are we capable of asking them, what will you do in this situation, for instance, right? Are we capable of paying attention, observing how people are interacting in the day-to-day work? What are the challenges? Are we able just to simply ask them, how did it go? What was the outcome? Are we capable of guiding them and at the same time challenge the people in order to say what can be done better? Imagine with 3 simple questions. What will you do? How did that go? What can be done better? We are capable of having this meaningful conversation where people feel empowered to find solutions. They feel challenged. They feel fair, in fact, on the treatment, because you are not having these conversations once every blue moon. You are having these conversations when it happens, when you have these regular check-ins that are meaningful. It's my own time with you, my direct report, that I need to spend and take care of you as a person and become a facilitator for your day-to-day work, right? It's beyond just checking about work. It is more about how can I enable you to do your job the best you can? How can I feel like there is someone watching out, covering my back, watching out for me? And how can I be challenged in a way that I feel motivated? Because you said it, motivation is the key in order to drive engagement in corporations that are continuously changing, right?
Right. And for those who are listening and saying, oh, but where do I even start? I've never done this. The best way to start is also working on emotional intelligence. So that's a great starting point. So they can check out one of the videos that we've done in recent weeks on emotional intelligence. So check it out if you want a starting point.
This is a good point. And remember, to have these meaningful conversations, only 3 questions. What will you do? How did that go? What can be done better? 3 questions. So forget about this long process of just coaching and just focus on these 3 powerful questions that can unleash the potential of your team.